Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the next episode of our feature focus series on building the results framework. So, my name is Anya. I can see people joining there. Brilliant. Great. Just checking them on. So, as I mentioned, my name is Anya, and I'm a customer success executive here at Tola Data, and I'll be bringing you through the results framework today. So, you might already have a framework set up in your organization, or you might be just looking to find out more about it. Either way, we'll run through it today. So it's going to be a short and informative session. There's going to be a quick presentation, and then I'm going to bring you through how to build a results framework from actually setting up a project to creating the framework. And then I'm going to create one indicator just to show you how the whole thing flows. I'm going to give another 30 seconds there. But we do kind of like to keep these sessions short and informative. You could be watching on YouTube, on our website, or you could even be watching back on the YouTube. So if you're watching back, welcome from the past. And if you're watching now, you can open up Tola Data, in fact, and you can run through it with me, or yeah, whatever way you're watching. I'll actually kick off there. So, what is the Feature Focus series? So, these are a series of short live streams that provide an interactive deep dive into Tola Data. So, we're looking at each feature. Our last one was on building a activity plan, and this one is building your indicator, or the next one will be building your indicator plan then. So, first you have to set up your results framework, which I'll be showing you how to do today, and then you'll be creating those indicators and inputting them into each heading or title. And the next one is on the 3rd of May, so I hope you can join us then. So, to kick off now, what is the purpose of a results framework? So, it allows you to visually map out your project logic. So, I borrowed this quote from the OECD. A results framework is an explicit articulation of the different levels or chains of results expected. So basically, it's a graphic display of the steps you're going to take to achieve your goal. So this can be done as a graphic display, a matrix, or a summary. Within Tola Data, the purpose of the results framework is also for planning and management. So your whole team can see the flow of your project and at what stage it is at. This also allows org admins, project admins, or edit users to create and edit the results framework in our platform. So the org admin is like the super user over all your projects. And then the project admins and edit users have special permissions within the projects. So there's 2 other permissions then that wouldn't be able to edit or change these. That is up to org admin who decides these different permissions. Which part of the Tola Data application does this sit in? That is slightly small there, but you will see the first orange tab is details, the second is activity, the third is indicators, then we have data tables, and finally the orange tab is forms. And you can see the red box in the middle has a mark around results framework. So that is in the indicator section. And you can see as it's first, you have to first create the results framework to then make the indicators and start organizing them within the platform. So a quick look at the benefits then of using a results framework. As I mentioned, this can communicate to your team the different project goals, objectives, outcomes, and outputs. So when you create the framework in the platform, when you click onto it, you'll be able to see exactly how the project is, how it's getting on, and where your aim is to go. With the framework, it makes it visually easier to navigate as it is color coded and it looks very pretty, which you'll see in a few minutes. And it also then creates a structure for your indicator plan within Tola Data. So as I said, you have to first create the results framework, and then you can slot in your indicators underneath that. I will mention as well that we have questions at the end of the session. So as I'm presenting here, please feel free to get your questions ready and you can ask them at the end, or if you're watching back, you can contact us at support@toladata. But finally there, the final benefit that I've mentioned is let organizations work backwards in achieving their goal. So I think this is a great one when you do out your SMART goals, or when you have your big aim or your big goal. When you can see that, you can break them down into more manageable tasks with your outcomes and outputs and activities to reach that goal. So this will be a quick and informative session, as I said, because the results framework is quite simple. It is quite easy to set it up. There's not a lot in it. It's quite easy to edit the results framework as well. So what we'll be doing today is creating and editing a results framework and then adding an indicator to this to show you how you can change that within the different headings. So this is what we'll actually be working off today. So within different organizations, they have different frameworks. They will look slightly different or very different, but they all have the same goal at the end and a similar sort of layout. So you can see here with this sample project, we will be engaging a community in governance and advocacy. So that's our project title. And you can see under that we have our objective. And our objective is greater community awareness and participation in government. You can then see we have our indicators, we have more information about our indicators, like if we want to disaggregate them, our targets, how often we want to collect data, and where we're collecting that data. And then you can see the outcome in the grey heading at the top. In 3 boxes down, you can then see the activity, and then you can see the second outcome and then the activities for that. So we have our overall objective. I want to create greater community awareness. And then we have our outcome of we want regular meetings between government, and how we get there is through our activity. So we've broken that down. So we do that through training and through getting people involved in government. You can see there with our first indicator. And then our second outcome is increased media coverage, which we've then broken down into our 2 activities of inviting local media to community events and also radio interviews. So I'm just explaining that to give you kind of an idea of the flow of the project. So then when we go to set it up, you will kind of see the flow of it. I will be jumping back between a few different screens, so you can really see how we're going about this. So with that, I'm going to jump into Toladata. And you can see this is the screen when you log into Toladata, this is what will appear. So I'm just going to jump into that tab. Now, in our past feature focuses, we would have already set up projects, created details to that project, set up an activity plan, and now today we're looking at the indicator section. So if you want a brush up on any of that, feel free to go back and watch those sessions. But for now, I'm going to quickly run through adding a project. So to do that, going to click add new project, and then if you remember, the name of the project was engaging, there it is, the community in governance and advocacy. We can add a start date, whenever that may be. This is going to be a short project. And when I save that, it'll jump in to the details section. You can see we're now in the project up here in this tab. And our navigation bar here on the left-hand side, that we are now in the details section, but the results framework lives in the indicator section. So if I jump in there, you can see this is looking very bare and very daunting. There's no information at the moment because I've just set up this project. So I want to start creating my indicator plan and start creating the results framework. So to do that, you can see the tabs at the top here. We have our indicators, our results framework, exports, and changelog. I'm going to jump into the results framework. Again, you can see here it's looking very bare. So to start creating my results framework, I'm going to hit this plus sign here. This plus sign, which we'll get to, is adding an indicator. Even now, I often automatically go and click this green indicator, but that's not what we want to do at the moment. We want to start creating our framework. So I'm going to hit that plus sign, and I'm just going to jump back in here for a second and add this to the stream. So you can see here, we have our results framework. So what we want to do first is we've already created the project here, engaging the community. So now we want to create our overall objective, which is the greater community awareness. So I'm going to add this back to the stream. And in another tab here, I actually have the document open with all the different headings. So I'm sure you're well aware that when you're setting up projects, there's a lot of copying and pasting. And oftentimes I actually have my two screens open beside each other in a split screen. Or just like now, I jump in between two different screens and add the title. So you can see there now we have added the title. But what I want to do is I want to just have the objective in the title. And I'm going to add the description here of the greater community awareness. So what this means now, you'll see in a second that this is our overall heading, and then you'll see a little description pop up beneath it. The parent element here is only the results framework because we haven't any other elements yet. This parent and child model is set up so that there will be the main element, and then from that there'll be different elements branching down. Our result type here, this is our overall objective. So I'm going to click impact for this. We also have like our different outputs, outcomes, or other. So this drop down here is more for organization within the results framework. So your output would be like the different services or capital outputs that your project is creating. The outcome would be the outcome or the results of the project. The impact would be like overall goal or objective. And then other would kind of be more like an activity or if you have some other title within an organization. So for this, I'm going to pop into impact. For the aggregation status here, again, for organization, this will be an aggregated one because it's kind of the overall objective. I've added my description, and I'm going to start making it a bit more visual and aesthetically pleasing. So I'm going to make it orange, and I'm going to keep this order here at 0 because this is going to be the only element at the moment. It doesn't really matter what this number is, but I think it's good practice just to keep it in the order it is, and it starts from 0. So I'm going to keep that 0 there, and when I click submit, you can see there my element has jumped up. So I want to add my second element. So what I'm going to do is just pop back in here. So you can see there we've added our first element, which is the objective. And now we want to add the outcome of regular meetings. So I'm going to add you back to the screen so you can see that. And select my outcome. I might move a bit faster now. So I'm going to add my outcome. Again, click that plus sign, paste it in there, which I've gotten from my other document. I'm going to keep the titles clean, just as outcome. Add my description in there. Now you can see here I have the different parent element has jumped up. So this is how I can quickly move it. If I've accidentally clicked that plus sign on the wrong element, I can change it at this stage here. But this is the objective, and this is going to be an outcome, and we'll say it is an aggregated. This aggregated doesn't actually change the element, it's just more for organization, as I mentioned. And because this is going to be a new row, I'm going to change the color of it and keep it at 0 because it's the first one. When I submit that, you can see it is now popped up there. So to pop back in here, you can see now I'm going to add the next framework, which is activity 1.1. It's good as well to keep creating them as they appear in the list, because then when you start organizing them, there's less to move around. If you have a long indicator list and lots of results, a large result framework, I think this is important to remember. If I add that back to the stream there, I'm going to quickly add the second activity, clicking the plus sign under this objective because I want it to stem from there. Pardon me, I want it to come from the outcome. Activity 1.1, copy paste that. That will also be the first one. This will be other, and the aggregation status, no for that. Great, so you can see there it's starting to build up. So if I want to add, say, a second activity to this, activity 2.2, let's say, which is actually for our next outcome. But just to show you, I will do the same thing there, click that plus sign, add the activity, add the description there, and you'll see here what I'm going to do is I'm going to order that 1 because I want that to come second. When I click submit, you can see there our parent and child model starting to take form. So if I click into my indicators now, you will see the list starting to form. So this is going to be the headings for our indicator. And you can see if I hover over objective, you can see there the actual title of it pops up. But earlier on, I have created this just to have it a bit beefed out. So you can see there we have our different headings. But if I pop back into my projects and let that load, I have already created this project earlier on. So this is the completed one here. So if I pop in there, you can see now I have my results framework done out. The only difference with this is instead of hovering over them and seeing the title, I have added it into it. So if I wanted to change that, I would copy and paste that in there. So you can see now that changes the heading from the description. And to edit anything, I can just click that little pen sign there, or also delete the indicator beside it. So very straightforward. There's not much to it. If I click back into my indicator section here, you can see this is our different headings, and I've already created these indicators. So if I jump back into my framework, down here at the bottom is our final indicator that I haven't entered yet. So this is activity 2.2 with the Rady interviews to increase the media coverage of our communities, which is our outcome. So we're always working towards that goal or objective. And to create this indicator now, what I'm going to do is add you back to the screen so you can see it, jump into my own document, copy and paste that. And now this is when I click this green button of add in a new indicator. Our next session on May 3rd is actually building out an indicator plan, which I think there's a lot in that. There's aggregated indicators as well, and importing them through bulk import. So for this, I'm just going to quickly show you how to create one of these indicators. So it's numeric indicator. You can add more information to that, not necessary for now. And when I save that, you can see that the indicator has popped up here under non-classified indicators. So I want to move that down under my activity. So I'm going to do that by dragging and dropping it all the way down the bottom. Now you can see that is now where my indicator lives very simply. If I also want to do it another way, if I have a really long list of indicators, if I'm after bulk importing them and there's up to 50 indicators, I can also click into the indicator. You will see under this first indicator details tab, if I want to change the parent framework, I can just click in there, scroll down to the bottom, and there I can see the activity parent. When I click save, it will now have, and click back into my indicators, it will now have slotted down the bottom. So it is quite a simple part of the software, but also very important when you're filling out your indicator plan. There is also then the option of exporting this. So we've now gone through first our results framework tab, then into our indicator tab. And now if I click into our exports, this is where you can export a list of all your indicators, which will include which parent model, which parent heading that they are under. So I think that is important to note as well. So with that, I will actually pop into Mentimeter. So I'm going to pop this up on the bottom. So if you have any questions, please feel free to head over to menti.com and enter them. I'll also show you here, there's a QR code, so you can pull that up on screen now. And if you have any questions, feel free to pop them in there. Just to mention as well, if after this you want a refresher on any of this, we have our knowledge base online. So in the knowledge base, there is a results framework section where we tell you a bit more about the results framework and also just show you how to create it. But I'm sure you're all well versed on it now. If I pop into the questions here and start sharing this tab, I can see one question came in there and add you to the screen. So first question there. Hi there, can I generate the framework as a PDF and print it? Great question. So with the results framework, you can take a screenshot of the whole tab, which if you zoom out, it allows you to do that. You can't generate it as a PDF, but we find that if you do that, also it will get broken up into different pages. So we find that screenshotting it is the same thing. And then also if you want to export the results, you can do that through the export tab as well. So thank you for that question, but it is something that comes up. Actually, lots of people ask us that. So screenshotting it, I think, would be the way to go. I'll wait there for another minute. It's not giving me the option to edit or change the framework. What do I do? For that, I would think that your permission mightn't be allowing you to do it. So if you can't change or edit the framework, you might remember at the start, I was looking at the different permission levels. So if you're an edit user, or if you're a project admin, or if you're org admin, you would be allowed to edit it. And if you can't, you can get in contact with your org admin and then they can change your permissions to the projects. So that should fix that. I'll give it another 30 seconds or so. But again, if you are watching this in playback, feel free to send in any questions to support@toladata. And we also have a live chat down the bottom right-hand side of the platform, which you might have seen, and you can contact us there. We have another question there, very informative. Can I use this feature purely to organize my indicators, or do I need to have that log frame style? So if you want to organize your indicators, I would recommend creating a log frame. So that allows you to really work towards your goals, break your goals down and see where you're going. If you don't have a framework set up, there is some resources online, or I would say get in touch with a professional. We do offer consultancy hours as well. If you wanted just a bit of a hand or even some advice, feel free to get in touch with info@toladata.com and we can definitely help you out there. How can you link the results framework with MEL framework? So for that, we actually have lots of information on that online. So again, if you want to get in touch with us, we can send you on more information on that. If there's no final questions, I might leave it there. So thank you very much. Again, our next session is on the 3rd of May, and that is really building out the indicator plan. So please do join us for that, and we will see you then. Thank you.